Leonard Reed was the guy. He got me involved in the Mannkal Society, which is an association of economists. He, along with people like Mises and Friedrich Hayek, formed this Mannkal Society back around 1947. And that's been interesting. We meet every year, it's always in a different country, all around the world, and that's taken me to so many different countries. It's just sort of been a major influence on my life, being involved in all these things. And I got involved with Friedrich Hayek, who was probably my favourite economist, a fabulous fellow, and we spent some very interesting times just in the one-on-one discussions. And I used to say to, at one stage I apologised. I said, I'm not really a qualified economist. And he said, oh, that's good, that is very good. He said, we economists, we dream our dreams and we dream our schemes, but he said, but we don't do anything. We need you to fire the bullets for us. You know, I left that meeting with Hayek feeling, hey, I'm useful. The Mannkal Society is not really a secret society in any form at all. It was formed by this group back in the 1947s. They were worried that socialism and communism was engulfing the world, so they formed themselves, they called themselves the remnant, just the people that retained this free market, self-responsibility culture, and they formed themselves saying that if things get really bad, at least we can maintain that little bit of sanity to carry the world through, because our ideas may be needed again in the future. Well, they certainly were. And it's an organisation that's very open now. There's more and more young people. They don't have to be academics. There's about 550 members, I think, around the world in every conceivable country, and the meetings are becoming now vibrant with all these newer and younger people in there, and it's great to see the organisation refreshing itself as it moves forward. We've got a different set of challenges in the world right now to what they had back in 1947, and we need young people to stimulate and bring in new ideas. It's always important to have that vision of what a free society really is and what it can achieve, and how the flow on to people at every level in society is beneficial from the pursuing a free society. And it's very easy to lose that freedom. We lose it little by little, and nobody notices it. We give it away. Maybe a government says, we will look after your old age, we will look after your health, we will look after... You don't have to worry about yourself anymore. Very attractive story, but at tremendous cost. Always you have to reveal huge amounts of personal information about yourself. They then use that against you, so it's at a cost. And this is not obvious when the promises are made. The promises are made to buy your votes. But having bought your vote, you've lost something, and it's part of your freedom. It's a very subtle message to sell. We would be better left really to our own accord, and I think that's why I found the teachings of Friedrich Hayek very intuitive in that sense. His talk was the use of knowledge in society, and how the knowledge, all the wisdom in society is in the minds of all the people. All the people have that knowledge, and he said no single person or no single organisation has sufficient knowledge to take control of your life and the lives of other people. And I think you think about that and you realise that that's right on the dot. And he used the phrase, the fatal conceit. And the fatal conceit, or whether they be our politicians or whether it be dictators or autocratic rulers in different countries, when you think about it, it is an absolute fatal conceit that they think they have the knowledge to run your life and make decisions for you. One thing always leads to another. I guess Hayek led me to, I met Anthony Fisher, who was influenced by Hayek. Anthony Fisher came back from the World War II, wanted to be a politician, and Hayek said, no, you will achieve more by starting a think tank so that you can form ideas and policies and influence intellectuals and influence the public and the media, get ideas out. And Fisher started one think tank in England, the Institute of Economic Affairs, but then he went on to form the Manhattan Institute and then also the Atlas Network, which itself is a real powerhouse because it has generated over 400 think tanks in almost every country, several in some countries around the world, a seething mass of young people. And when they get together for the Atlas Foundation meetings around the world, and I'm so fortunate to be on their board of overseers, we see come together the youth leadership from all these countries in the world. All these youth leaders from the Arab Spring revolutions came together, and they met many people from the former Soviet Union countries where they had their leaders 20 years ago breaking away from communism, re-establishing a civilised society, creating constitutions for their newly emerging countries. These people from the Soviet Union were helping, from the former Soviet Union, were helping these young people, probably saving them 5 years of hard work in establishing a civilised society in their countries. Very, very inspirational. Often the question I get asked by young people is, say, your views, Ron, they say, has that adversely affected your career? Have you had any trouble by being very direct about things? And I thought about it originally when I was asked, and I said, really, it's enhanced my career, it's made my life by being very direct and outspoken. So many other chief executives of other companies have said to me, hey, I wish I could have said what you just said, something, and I say, why couldn't you? And they say, I'd never get it past my board, I'd never get it past the PR people. And I say, I thought you were the boss. You know, really, he was employed to be a leader, but they're afraid. They're afraid of being punched up by the unions or the next approvals. When they get approvals for a mining project or a project of any kind, they're afraid. But I think they should be out there leading and being strong. We don't seem to have the sort of in Australia, we don't seem to have the philosophers, the backroom, the thinking people that can think beyond the single company entity. So we've got wonderful generals in industry. Wonderfully, they represent their companies, their individual companies, and they give great company presentations, but there aren't many people thinking industry-wide, thinking the bigger picture of the price that you pay for subservience through the bureaucracy. One of the other things I've learned from the free market movement and their ideas is always to look at the longer term. Look past the short-term fix. Everyone today is looking for a short-term fix to fix the problem today. They don't care about the other problems that will be created in a year or two from this one. You look at the style of headline, you look at the type of financial reporting in the daily media, it's all short-term stuff. But we've got to think out in front. Let's look at some policies that'll be good for our country, for the nation and for the world. So the short-term thinking is maybe not dishonest, perhaps not immoral, but it's deficient. And that's letting us down. And it's led to people, the comment that we hear today is that the free market or capitalism has let us down. That's not true. We, the short-term thinkers of the world, have let capitalism down. Under great pressure about a year ago, I went on Facebook, so I got a Ron Manners Facebook site, and it's been a real adventure. I've got about 4,500 Facebook friends, but just recently that Facebook site of mine has been voted as one of the best economic/policy Facebook sites in Australia, and it's a seething mass of opinions, and I tell you what, it is really something, and the calibre of the people contributing to it make the Facebook site. It's often there's a question asked, before I have a chance to answer it, there's 6 other people far more qualified than I am. They come and they all have their own answers and create another set of discussions. Sometimes there's 50 responses after some of the comments that are made, but all constructive, all focused on economics and policy. I guess what got me into writing books, and I've just completed the fourth of my books. I've got another 5th on the way. What started was that I'm a bit of an archivist, a bit of a historian, probably coming with all my grandfather and all these people. And I've got so many files, and I've just wondered what to do with all this information, what to do with all the stories that I'd accumulated. So that got me onto the first book, the second book, and the third book, and the fourth book. The fourth one was called Heroic Misadventures, which started off being the story of all my escapades, and most of them didn't come off very well, but it gives you enough optimism to start again on another one, and sometimes they do come out okay. That was initially about me, but as I was getting into the book, I realised, hey, it covered 40 years. It covered the 1970 to the 2000s, and I realised that it really wasn't my heroic misadventures, it was the heroic misadventures of Australia, because Australia were going through these cycles, good policy, bad policy, good policy, bad policy, and I suddenly realised, and I've subtitled the book, Australia, 4 decades, full circle, because here we are, back where we were in the early 70s. We're just exactly where at that time we came out of a period of extreme prosperity, and we blew it. We've done that again. We've come through a period of extreme prosperity, and what have we done again? We've blown it. We never seem to learn. The little monthly mannerisms, I just call it mannerisms because my name's Ron Manners. I'm not sure who gave these quirky little monthly commentaries the mannerisms, but it's being a permanent part of our website and our monthly electronic newsletter. And it's short, sharp, punchy stuff of what occurs to me at any given moment. It might have been our Federal Treasurer in Australia was awarded the Finance Minister of the Year award internationally. Well, I said this is amazing, so I had a comment or two to make about that. And it covers a whole range of things, but it's probably a commentary. I think I'll probably end up gathering them all together, and that'll be the next book.